Hold on. An error occurred. Try again. All right. One more time. And we are back. Another outstanding episode of the Square Table Degenerates. Today we welcome to the show Indians' legendary pitcher, Mr. Justin Masterson. How are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm feeling legendary, man. I've had that one before, so I'm feeling great. I mean, it was 70 degrees yesterday, and now I'm looking out my window and it's just blowing snow. So it's
cold. It was so nice yesterday. I'm glad I got some cleaning done yesterday because today I'm not feeling it. Man, it's supposed to be snowing. Yeah, because where are you calling from today? Where you at?
Indianapolis.
Okay, you're in the Indies. We didn't get the snow yet. I think we're supposed to get in on St. Patrick's Day, which sucks because I want to go out, but we'll still probably go out. But man, what March? Yeah, in like line out like the line, right? Fucking hell, they just keep coming in with the weather and just keep changing it, and we don't even know, right?
That's just the way it is. It's the way it's always been.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so right out of the gate, a guy asked about something. I'm sure people bring this up all the time, but you were born in Kingston, Jamaica, because you were born the son of a preacher man. I was listening to that song a little bit ago. It's a great song.
It's ready.
Well, like, did this little fun tidbit shape your life in any way? Like, have you been back to Jamaica? And did you get like a completely unique outlook on life considering your dad's chosen profession?
There's a lot in that, Joey. I would say, what's great is I was made in America, but born in Jamaica. So that's always fun. When my parents went over there, my dad was teaching at a Jamaican theological seminary. And then we only lived there the first 2 years of my life. So it wasn't forever, but it's a nice story to be able to talk about. Like when I was in the dugout my rookie year, I was playing with the Red Sox, and it was my second game pitching, and I get Mike Lowell was our third baseman from Cuba. He comes over to me after like the second or third inning. He's like, "Hey, Masty, were you born in Jamaica?" And I said, "Yes, Mike. Why are you asking me this right now?" He's like, "Well, the third base coach was telling me about it. He was looking for some big black guy with dreads to be on the mound, and instead we got a bald white guy out there." And I was like, "Well, I was born in Jamaica. What can I say, Mike?" But it was a good time. And yeah, my dad's been a pastor, still is a pastor my whole life. And it does give me a semi-unique perspective, really, in just being able to have an identity outside the game of baseball. So it has allowed me all day, every day to just enjoy playing the game, having fun, and not having all of myself wrapped up into it. So that when I suck, I'll still be okay. Like, gotta work hard. And when I do incredible, I'm still just the same dude, just hanging out with my people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You said you were 2 when we moved. The internet says Beaver Creek. That's right down by Dayton. Was that where you guys went? And that's where you grew up the whole time? Was in Beaver Creek, or would you move around before that?
Yeah, we spent a couple years in Fort Wayne, Indiana. But since I was like 6 years old, I grew up in Beaver Creek, Ohio, just outside of Dayton.
Okay, yeah, I've been through there. I was just down there for work for a couple of weeks. Now that they're right past the old Air Force base, man. So did you like getting to the plane? I mean, it's woven in the culture down there. I mean, you got the base is huge, and that's the whole economy.
Yeah,
it's kind of built on the base. I mean, did you get like right into planes and stuff when you was a kid? Did that kind of stuff fascinate you? How'd that work?
I mean, I don't know if I got like crazy into it. We had a guy at our church who worked at Wright Pat, did some stuff with like, I don't know, F-16s, F-35s or whatever. He was an engineer, so he'd bring some random stuff home, not top secret stuff or anything like that, but, some random stuff to be able to see. But the coolest part, I mean, it'd be neat to go to the Air Force Museum and see some of that. But the coolest part is like our house was like in the landing zone for Wright Pat. So there's a couple times we'd be outside and I'd be looking up into the sky and would see Air Force One, and it was super low. So it was like almost about to land, and it'd be right above. And then we see the B stealth bombers, B-52s.
The B-2s or something like that?
Yeah. Them things would be coming right over nice and slow, and then you'd have some other like crazy, and then there's always those like cargo planes that were just practicing going back and forth all day, every day. But I think that was kind of the cool thing. You'd be outside, and then all of a sudden they'd be nice and low, and you're like, ooh, like this is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's cargo planes is my specialty. We did a lot of work with that, and then working a passenger terminal. But yeah, the closest I got to Air Force One was 2008. I was in Jersey, and W came through at Fort McGuire, or Fort Dix, whatever, McGuire Air Force Base. Now it's called they did this thing called joint basing. So now the entire name of the base is Joint Base McGuire Dix Lakenhurst because they took the Navy base, the Air Force Base, and the Army base, combined them all into one huge ass base. But W came back then. It was still only McGuire, but W came through and they wouldn't let me work the mission because I was a guard guy. But it was cool seeing the dogs, Secret Service dogs, walk up on us. And it kind of makes me wonder. It's like they got Secret Service dogs checking government equipment. I mean, what is their level of trust for, a random base we got here in the middle of Jersey? I mean,
hey, you can never be too safe, man.
I guess they definitely come up. They just come up and do whatever, man. It's crazy.
Hey, they're intense people. I went and hung out with the Secret Service for a little bit when we were in Boston. Got to go to the Secret Service training facility, which is like right between Baltimore and DC, somewhere in there. It's a specified amount of time so they can get to the White House if something were to happen. Right. But it's pretty neat. They got to drive us in the cars, do some cool stuff like that, and then we got to hang out with their gun. I can't remember what they called him. It was like not their gun specialist, but it was like their guy who understood all that. He had just been with a bunch of senators, talking about some gun things or whatever, and so he sits us down and we're in their gun library, which is not the largest of gun libraries, but he's like, man, we got 267 of the most unique and authentic pieces around here. And a couple of the small guns that people tried to assassinate a president with. They had one of them like Gatling guns up on the ceiling behind you, just so you could see one of those puppies. Like I was playing Goldeneye for James Bond again or something like that. But then he tells me a story that I won't forget. And I tell it often because it just cracks me up. Is he loves the idea of hollow points. Hollow point, it's one of those that it's not just a lead jacket. I'm sure all your people know that already, but lead jacket go through, hollow point hits you and, explodes. And so he's telling it, he's like, my goal is when somebody's coming at me is to change their mind. He's like, why do I like the hollow point? Because the dude's coming at me, I shoot him, and every time he'd be like, little hole in the front, big hole in the back. And he's like, and then all of a sudden the guy's like, I don't want to try and attack you. I got to save myself. So every time he'd be like, yeah, guy comes at me, little hole in the front, big hole in the back. All of a sudden he's not thinking about me. He's thinking about himself. Now I win, I run away, or I come finish him off. And I was like, wow, okay, Secret Service don't mess around, man.
There was they got this career field called EOD, Ordnance Explosive Disposal, or something like that. But the one guy asked, he goes, how come you're so calm when you do this? He goes, well, if I get my job right, we get to go home. If I get my job wrong, it's somebody else's problem. So true, right? Just snip the wrong way and blow up. Oh, well, not my problem.
That's it. I won't be here to know if I made it messed up.
All right. Now, when you was coming up and you was little, how old were you when you got into sports? And did you choose baseball? Because a guy your size, you had at least played football, baseball a little bit. So talk a little bit about the sports you played prior to focusing on baseball.
Man, I was a basketball, baseball guy. I didn't do football really. 1 year, 7th grade, but not the most enjoyable experience. And then I did. We played football in the backyard though. That's a whole nother story. But I played basketball, loved it. Played baseball when I was in kindergarten. Man, I'll tell you this: crazy as it sounds. Kindergarten, I wanted to tell people about Jesus and play baseball, play Major League Baseball. Those were the two things that I wanted to do. And so crazy enough, that's what ended up happening in my life. Now, in about 8th grade, turned into I wanted to play in the MLB and the NBA, as any young kid would love to. But my baseball skills just picked up a little bit quicker than my basketball skills. Like in basketball, I was always the defense, box some people out, set some demoralizing screens on people, just pick them to death and just run into me. Because I was always a big kid, not always necessarily the tallest, but like my son, I got one son who's a 6th grader, 12 years old. He's about 5'6", good size for his age, but skinny. And I'm like, son, the only difference between me and you, well, there's 2 of them. He's super fast. I never was. And I said, son, I was about 4 of you. I look like I ate 3 of you. And it's just big kid coming through. So crazy enough, I never did do football, but I didn't have the desire. But we did challenge our, football teams later in the days to some backyard games because I had a lot of fun in the backyard. Just one of my best buddies, Andy, we still talk about it today, where we get together, play some golf, where we'd have these backyard battles. And he was he was tall as me-ish, but a lot more slender. And so we'd get like, Super Bowl's coming up, it's snowing outside, and I'd just tackle him and then slam his head into the snow, and he just had to wear it because he couldn't do much about it. But it was, those were so much fun times in the
Man, I
backyard.
haven't played. I played a little bit in high school, a little football, but I haven't played back. We used to play all. When we, and that's the thing with your kids. I mean, kids nowadays don't do it, but it's
No, it's
man,
unfortunate.
that was the days, right? Pat, I would probably have to recover for like a week if I went out there and played tackle football. How we get back there? Right? My God, sometimes just played. If it was snowing enough, we just go in the middle of the street and play. We just didn't care. And
It, it, it didn't matter. I remember it was well, we were in the backyard of my buddies. It just rained like tremendously, and so it's a little bit muddy. You could literally slide from one end of our end zone to the other end, which was about 50 feet. And of course, that was the last time I think we played football in their backyard because their mom was not happy after we just demoralized her backyard. But it was some of the most fun, just because it didn't hurt as much. You're just sliding, slipping. You get snow out there. You just smack on some people, and it's just good times.
Just running. We used to play right in the tree lawn. I grew up in Cleveland there. We had the tree lawns, between the sidewalk, and there would be a giant strip of grass. We used to go out there and over here's a touchdown. Go out there's out of bounds, and man, but yeah. If I ever got in a time machine, I'd like to do that again. But my current body ain't taking that shit, though, for sure.
But you're right though. The kids today, man, they don't do it the same. And some of it is like in our neighborhood, my son doesn't have as many kids his age to go and do it. A lot more organized things, but it's a difficult. I don't know. It takes away the creativity. I felt like we were super creative, and now kids are maybe a little more skilled than we were at the same time, but they don't have the same creativity to like work through, situations, scenarios, and even life stuff. But
a lot of that's technology. I mean, when we were coming up, if we would have had, some of these video games these kids got, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I got a chance, I would definitely play video games, but after a while, there's only so many times you can play Zelda. There's only so many times you can play Mario Brothers 2, you know what I mean? So we just went outside and did it, But
exactly.
And man, these athletes they come up so young and they're so hyper-focused at such a young age. I mean, you got 10, 11, 12-year-olds out here playing travel ball and this and that and having Tommy John surgery in high school. Like, I was going to talk about this later, but I'll bring it up now. Like, what's your take on all these kids with the surgeries and how is this any bit of healthy? Like, what's going on with youth baseball in that aspect?
No, it's not good. Well, it's some of the things have been happening for a while. In some ways, you get people being used and abused. Not thinking about it. You got people who are leading them who don't know anything different. But even when you try, like we would talk about it when we were playing, is there was a span even before nowadays where people were like, "Oh, I'm just going to go get me some Tommy John, and then I'm going to go throw 100." It's like, dude, only half the people come back better. Like most will maybe come back the same, but only half of them really get better. And that's just because, man, they hadn't really done any arm stuff or anything like that. And so I don't know. It's a tough thing to see because one, surgery stinks and rehab is even worse. Like that's the worst thing known to man. You get in some rehab, which I've done a couple shoulders, an oblique, a couple leg things. And I'm sure Joey, like that is not something that I want to be a part of for rehab. So you got these kids doing all this, and it's like just play different sports. But even today, they make it hard. Like I coach at the high school, and we try and have guys do multiple sports, but even then it becomes very difficult because not all coaches want to work together, whether they're afraid of somebody's going to get hurt or something like that. And it's just like, can't we all just get along one time?
Right? We used to play different. You play football in the fall, basketball in the winter, and baseball in the spring, as a lot of people did. Yeah, for the longest, man. And then nowadays, it's just like, well, dude, some of these coaches, they probably even like, you're not playing any other sports. You're the best at this, and they gotta be competing for some of these top athletes. I don't know.
Well, let me say this. I bet there's some parents that do the same thing, though. Like now that I think about it, there's some parents who see a kid maybe doing decently good, or I've put enough money into this, and they're like, hey, I'm not going to have you get hurt by doing something else. And I did have that a little bit in high school. We went down to, what was it? Cincinnati school. And they had invited me when I was in high school. It was either my sophomore or junior year of high school. And I was doing, coming alongside. I'd been a catcher, started pitching a little bit more. And I go down to this. There's just four of us. There was Jensen Lewis.
Huh?
It was like Princeton High School down in Cincy. Jensen Lewis, it was myself, and then two other dudes I don't remember. But there was a bunch of scouts there. My mom and my high school coach were down there with me, and I was hitting, I don't know, low 90s, 92, 93. And, a lot of nice things were being said. But my coach, who'd been doing it for 35 years, good old Rick Wolf, he looks at me and he called me Bat for Bat Masterson. He'd be like, "Hey, Bat, I've never told a kid this in my 35 years of coaching, but I don't think you should play basketball anymore." He's like, I can just, he was like looking out for me, like the potential of scholarships and other stuff. Like, you come from a poor pastor family. Now, he didn't say that, but it's like, you come from a poor pastor family, man. You might have a chance to do something great. So let's just not do basketball. But then again, I still played basketball, just intramurals, and
Right.
had a heyday
Okay.
with that. But you get, I think other people who come in and say things like that where they think things will be great, even though it may not actually be good. Because I know every parent looks at their kid and thinks they're great, which is awesome. Like, you should love your kid and appreciate them always, whether they do good or bad. But sometimes they take a little bit further and like, oh, he's going to be D1 and he's going to play in MLB. And I'm like, probably not. But
it's a numbers game, man. You got to be real. You got to be loving, but you got to be realistic as a parent. My dad was always the shoot down the dreams kind of day. You got to be realistic, and that's totally fine. But you have to balance it. I mean, you got to let the kid dream a little bit. But yeah, it's. Every parent's going to think their kid's going to be, the next Kurt Schilling or whatever. It's just the nature of parents and loving. But yeah, you got to be realistic with some of the dreams. And I think where a lot of parents mess up, Justin, is they take that dream thing, but every kid will want some dream that's unrealistic. Like, oh, I want to study dolphins in Florida or something. They just don't realize the cost of the school, and every single girl wants to do there. Something silly, you gotta have common sense in this world. I mean, you really do.
You do, and I think that's the hard thing. There's ego that comes in for the parent because kid does good, they feel good about themselves, and it is hard for me. Like, I found myself when a young kid says, "I'm going to go play MLB," I kind of chuckle, but I go, "I was that same kid. I was saying the exact same thing. No wonder my teachers would look at me and be like, "Okay, why don't you put on there something you could really do?" I'm like, just because I'm a husky kid doesn't mean I can't go play in the MLB. But like my kid, my son, he wants to play in the NBA. And I'm like, well, I mean, you probably can if you put the work in and do the stuff. Who am I to say you can't, son? But in our world, it's like we're gonna be great at everything. Not like we have to be the best at everything, but whatever we're gonna do, we're gonna try and do it to our best. Mm-hmm. So cool, man. Pursue that. Pursue your schoolwork, pursue everything that you do, and do it with excellence, and then we'll be fine.
Yes, sir. All right, we got a question from our UK contingent. Why do you think America has embraced proper football? He's talking about soccer, what we call soccer.
Of course he is. It just doesn't. It's too much running, man. Like, that's the reason I didn't play. My two best buddies, Chris and Curtis, growing up, they played soccer, select soccer. I'd even go watch some of their practices and just go, why? Why do you guys want to just run around for the whole time and maybe score one or two goals? Like, I don't get it. And so I think there's some of that. And give you this. So this is my take for baseball. Not that he was asking about baseball, but I think even though they may say America or baseball is not America's pastime, that it still is. And this is my reasoning. Because when you look at a baseball field, you see people of all different shapes, sizes, and colors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got little guys to like my favorite player ever, Dustin Pedroia. You got big, tall guys like Richie Sexton, who was back in the day. You got, enormous fellas coming in. You got Aaron Judge out there. Man, you watch the NBA? No. Like, they don't make me look small. You watch the NFL? Man, most of those guys are, whoo. I mean, they're either cut up or they're ginormous. It's like there's no chance. I mean, in football, it's kind of the same. Like, you watch the soccer, you see these dudes who can just run. You're impressed, but you don't see yourself out there. But you look at baseball and you go, I could do that. And I had countless people over the years tell me they could do that. Or it's like, no, I mean, I was going to play in the MLB too, but then I hurt my knee, and that's why I'm not able to do it. I hurt my shoulder, and I'm like, okay, yeah, man. Yeah, your dad was going to be there, but he just got hurt. It happens to all of us. But
oh, it's so true, though. We had on Jim Morse, the rookie. This guy's a teacher, and he goes out there and just his students are like, oh, yeah, go out and try out. This guy makes the major leagues. They had a long career, a couple games. I mean, that guy, Jim Rutschford, I was talking to the other day. Pizza delivery guy just comes up, does a couple independent leagues, goes up, plays Major League Baseball. I mean, yeah, it's just it is such a common, man. I got to get back into baseball, man. I have had on so many baseball guys recently, and it's like we're going to open a day on the 3rd, April 3rd, if you guys are out there, and we're gonna have some fun this baseball season. I think a
Yeah,
lot
but
of it is because I'm so
to his
sick.
point also, he I'm watching the notes come in too. He says it thinks it's a cultural thing, and absolutely. I mean, it just hasn't built in. So certain areas of this space in America, you're going to find people who appreciate it, but a lot of spaces you won't because it's just not as easy to get into, and it becomes very select. If you want to be good at it, you got to be playing at these higher levels. You're not just sitting out there going, but it is culture, and it hasn't fit my culture yet. So it's not.
Well,
It's
in
not.
America too, I think a big reason the Brits they don't understand. Like in America, we're used to having the best of everything, the biggest stores, the best sports. And like you got a sport like soccer, all the top guys are going to go to Premier League, and go to the Spanish league, all them leagues. They're not going to come over here. We'll get guys like Messi on the back end or whatever. Guys like remember Pele in 1980 at the New York Cosmos, that kind of thing. But we're not going to get the top guys of the thing. So, and it's hard for Americans to like. For me, from Cleveland, I'm Cavs, Indians, Browns all the way. But like for hockey, for example, I don't really have a hockey team because there's no team from Cleveland. I mean, I guess if Columbus or Buffalo did something maybe, but like there's no rooting interest. So like for me to root for Liverpool, me to root for Newcastle or whatever, I'm not from there. I don't really have connection to the city. We're a lot more in the States. We're a lot more regional than they are over in because like I went to England, dude, and a lot of these guys from the area they root for the team from they're from, and it's like so confusing to me. Just a whole different culture dynamic too. But yeah, it's I think the all underlying fact is we just don't get the best over here in America, so it's hard for us to root for that, man. It is.
Well, I'm sure there's good players, but if you want to start with like what would be perceived as the top league, the Premier League, like my college roommate, my freshman year, he's a 5th-year senior, but that dude would get up in the middle of the night, in order to watch some of those games like in live, and so he didn't want to wait till another time. So if for you to be devoted and see those, well then you got to get up stinking early, and not ever like my neighbor currently. Indian guy, awesome dude. He loves cricket. And so what he got to do, he's got to get up early because in order to watch the best cricket leagues, they're over the pond, So he's got to watch it from over there. I think that Premier League, the Cricket Premier League is about to start soon. This fool's getting up, 2, 3 in the morning so that he can see it live when things are happening. And that's devotion. And I don't think we have that devotion yet for it.
Oh yeah. I always joke to anybody in the Premier League over here just likes day drinking because it's an excuse to watch a game at noon on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? And now, when you was coming up, what positions did you play aside from pitcher? And if you couldn't have been a pitcher, what do you think you would have been?
Catcher, man. Like I made my JV high school team my freshman year as a catcher. Tried out as a pitcher, didn't want me. I didn't throw as hard. Came in as a catcher, loved catching, sold out to it. We were actually my sophomore year of high school thinking about like maybe a small D1, D2 school that maybe I would go catch at because it was a decent hitter, not like the greatest hitter, but a decent hitter. And then I got out there and pitched, and no matter what the velocity was, I threw the only no-hitter of my life, my freshman year, and then just pitched really well. And so then I started playing shortstop and third base when I wasn't pitching. And then, my senior year, I was a, first baseman and a pitcher. But my favorite, I think, might have been my junior year. I don't know, maybe my senior year. I can't remember. But our catcher was our closer. So, we're playing, I don't know how many innings we play, 6 innings or something like that, 6 or 7. And then I get 1 out and I walk the next guy in the last inning. And so coach is like, all right, going to bring in the closer. So the closer comes in the pitch and I go behind the dish in order to catch. And these fools, they thought my arm was tired. And so the first dude, he takes off, throw him out of second base, 2 outs. Our closer walks the next guy, gets the first base. What do they try and do again? They try and steal again. Dude takes off, came over, threw him out. That's who cares about MLB highlights, man? I'm here talking about high school. That when I was catching, that was the fun days.
Well, aside when you was in high school, aside from athletics, what was your persona like? I mean, did you get into the bad boy crowd, or were you just that's preacher's dad? These guys. I mean, obviously you were probably doing some of that, but I mean, what other side of the tracks things did you get into? Like, what was your music, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, man. I was not necessarily. I mean, I was a friend of all people. I kind of fit in about every single group. I led. We had a fellowship of Christian athletes that was going on, that we gathered people together. So I'd have do that. Thursday mornings, go do a little Young Life, which is just trying to impact lives in a positive way. But even within that, I mean, I'll be honest. Like I I didn't want to go drink. I didn't want to do drugs. And you'd say it was because of my belief, and that was probably some of it, but also the idea that I wanted to go play Major League Baseball, like that. I mean, how's that going to help me get to the next level? Like, so as crazy as it sounds, I didn't partake, but I go hang out with all the people, whatever was going on, be there, be encouraging, and so that, like, I mean, when I stopped playing basketball, I'm at the front, cheering everybody on for basketball. My buddies and we'd always hang out, and we love trying to be excellent at everything. So we start with ping pong, and my buddy's got some Asian in him, so he was slicing and dicing us half the time. His dad was really, really good, doing the hold it through the thing like here and try and do that style. Couldn't do. Yeah, exactly. But then we're like, all right, let's do pool. So then we get pool out, and we just try and be running that thing. And then we'd be like, all right, let's do darts. And so now we're just trying to be the best at darts, and much less playing, other video games and stuff like that. But man, that was dream of it, along with being in the backyard, just playing, man, doing some cops and robbers, that maybe kids don't do nowadays, on our bikes. We love playing hide and go. Like, the beautiful part of, my dad being a pastor is when the church isn't being used. We had a large church building. We didn't necessarily have a large church of people, but a large church building. And so we go play hide and go seek in the church. And that was awesome, because you'd find nooks and crannies. It'd be dark downstairs. So, people be thinking it haunted. So they'd be down there by themselves, and they'd be shaking like, something's going to get me down here. And then you come up in there, scare them half to death. And just, we used to have pews instead of like the chairs, that you sit on. And so you'd be able to, like, run on top of the pews to try and get away from people as they were coming. Then every once in a while you might slip. And that didn't feel good when you slipped, because it might lead to a little trouble in the nether region down below.
That's great. That's
But
great.
honestly, man, I'm like the same. I mean, I'm a little bit wiser, but I'm roughly the same dude that I was when I was in high school. I always joke now, because I'm like, why wouldn't, if you think about a guy who's saying that he's going to go play in the MLB, what are you going to do? Go to college? I'm like, oh yeah, and then go play in the MLB. You think conceited, just crazy. Nobody really liked him, but they had to, because he was there. But I was just friends with people. It was just a humble act of like, this is what I'm going to go do. Let's go have some fun.
That's funny you mentioned ping pong. I gotta tell you a funny story, man. I was talking to Larry Hankin. He was on Friends and Seinfeld, a bunch of shows. He was on Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood. And I asked him about Jim Brown, because I noticed they went to Syracuse at the same time Jim Brown. I remember former Browns running back Jim Brown. Yeah. And he said Jim Brown, they would just sit there ripped. They would just play ping pong for hours in the student thing or whatever. And people just sit there and watch him just play ping pong. And if I Hall of Fame running back, one of the best players ever played football, just sit there playing ping pong, right? That's stories you came in. That's great, right? Fucking hell.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's what you love. That's like when we were hanging out in clubhouses, especially in like the minor leagues. You'd have the ping pong out there, and dudes just be getting on the table.
Now, you guys play cards a lot back there? That's a good question. With like clubhouse wise, I mean, you're a pitcher, so I mean, obviously you're not going every day. I mean, is it cards? Just talking. What do you guys do just to kill time off days?
Lots of cards, and more cards. If there was ping pong, you play a little ping pong. But then we get into, and I felt like I found this answer, but somebody was saying when you serve in ping pong, like, it has to go off the back of the table. Have you ever heard that before? I don't know if you're a ping pong rules expert or not.
I'm trying to think now. They hit it, it bounces, and then it has to bounce on the other side, right? So bounce, like boom, boom.
Right.
Like
it's just got to bounce. But they're saying like it had to go like in between, like it couldn't actually hit the table and go off to the side. It had to
bounce on the table. Serve had to. Okay. I mean, I suppose that makes sense. I don't know if that's a rule or not, because like, that would make it easier for shorter players, I guess. But us tall guys can just lean over and go like that.
Correct. And so I tried to search everything, and someone else out there might have better understanding than me, but this is just a random side note because we're here. Was just like someone said you had to serve it off the back. And the only thing I could find is if you were playing wheelchair ping pong. And wheelchair ping pong, you have to hit it off the bat. Now, see, this just gives you an understanding of how much time we have on our hands in order to figure out, search and do all this stuff to figure out what exactly the real rules were. But we play tons of cards, man. Like we play euchre is one of my favorite. You know, some Pasoi, a few other types of games, depending on what it was. Just, you know, usually it's like a 2-on-2, you know, 4-man type of game. Now, I did find for myself that days that I was pitching that I knew about, like starting, I could not play cards before. And I don't know what the correlation was. I found it out in spring training. Like I was going to be pitching that day, and I'm like, oh, let me just play some cards to waste some time. And then for some reason, I go out, and then it just wasn't as good. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to play cards. So then from that point on, like I tried it again just to like test out my theory, and the same thing kind of happened. Now there probably was zero correlation, Joey, but in the sense of it, it kept happening that way. So then I quit playing cards on the days that I was going to pitch. So I just sit and watch. So you watch the guys, you know, do some commentating for them. You know, usually had some good guys coming around who would either commentate or make some remarks or make fun of somebody for the plays that they made, you know, within that. But there's other times where you're just kind of hanging out, maybe the trainer's room, you know, talking to the trainers who are your like built-in therapists and other things. So it's a good time.
Yes. Oh, geez, the wind's coming in hot. All right, how old were you when you first made your first all-star team, and like you really knew? I mean, you said, you tell me, you know, I want to play Major League Baseball, but like, at what point in your brain did that click to where you kind of figured that, you know, something was going to be beyond just playing, you know, Little League down the street?
I don't know, man. Like there was, it's weird. I'm just a weird person in the sense of it was just like, I'm just doing it. So like as I'm going, like I don't totally like now I remember parts of this, but you know, my parents would tell me about how frustrated I get during T-ball because nobody else could feel the ball, and it would just frustrate me. And now the part I do remember is I was putting the ball on the tee, and I'd raise the tee up as high as it could go and put the ball on because I want to get that launch angle before launch angle became cool, and now it's not cool anymore. But I put it up there, and then like the dad from the other team who was behind would be like, "Oh no, son, let's put it down." And then I look over at my dad, who was assistant coach, and then my dad was just like, "Yeah, just let him do it." And so put that puppy up there, and whammo, just crushed that ball. And it was just like that drive was there, and I didn't do like the special training or anything like that, but just had that desire within me, and always was one of the better players. I think that's what it was always one of the go-to guys, one of the better players. My mom was just here, and she was talking about this picture that showed up again, and I don't have the exact picture. Hold on one second.
For sure.
Like I got, you may not be able to see it the best, but this is big me at fifth grade, excuse me. And so there's an article that came out, and it was like, Justin Babe Ruth Masterson is in the background. And so it's because I hit they created a new facility or whatever, and I hit the first home run there off that best friend I was talking about years ago, Andy. So it was just one of those where was always one of the better players, was always near the top, and just loved it. Like I just love playing and run around, trying to hit, trying to catch. I love getting beat up. I still got some like seam marks in my hand from when I took a foul ball when I was 12 years old catching. Because I didn't put my hand on the side of my leg. I put it on top of my leg. Learned that lesson real quick. And so like to say there was one point in time when it was it is just really difficult, because it's kind of been like my life in all things. Like my faith in Christ was always like from the get-go. Little old lady told me about Jesus and how cool he was. And I was like, oh, it's cool. Let me get to know him for the rest of my life. And so it's like, oh, I want to play baseball. Oh, let me just keep getting to know the game of baseball better as I go. And as it kept coming, I kept enjoying it, all along the way.
Yes, sir. Now, what was your mindset out of high school? I mean, we were intent on baseball at that point. Any thoughts of the service being right there by right path? Did the recruiter come talk to you? What was the deal? And what ultimately made you decide to go to Bethel and then San Diego State after that?
Yeah, I mean, there was always hints of like wanting to be like a fighter pilot, because you're close to it and you think that's cool. But then I was always like, man, I don't know if maybe I'll be too big to be a fighter pilot. Which, crazy enough, I was in Arizona at Edwards Air Force Base, and I was like, hey man, like, am I too big at 6'6", 260? And they're like, well, if you can fit, you're good. I was like, really? And so they're like, yeah. So I get in there like I fit. And I was like, that's great. Now the parachute for the seat is only rated for 230 pounds. So if you crash and you got to jump out, it may not hold you, but you can fit. And I said, oh, no, thank you. I think I'll pass on that.
Yeah, I was always on the ground because, like, yeah, I'm 6'3", 240 or so, and even in the surf, I mean, I got down to about 200 at my lowest, but yeah, I was always a bigger guy too, and I just the pilots just annoyed me. I don't know. They were always that Top Gun. Have you ever seen Top Gun? That whole element, they
Oh,
they
yeah.
definitely think they're because they would have their parties. I mean, all the chicks would go to the fighter. Once the fighter squadrons had their parties, they would go there with the pilots, but they would come when the ground guys are having a party. But we would outdrink those pilots. There's no way any of those pilots that did it. And also, not to 180 everything, but rest in
You're
peace
good.
to the guys that on the 135 that passed away. There was my old unit down there at the 121st.
Mm,
So if
mm.
you guys hear anything about a service or anything, let me know on that. But yeah, it's they definitely the pilots they're just so cocky. And I could say a funny story, man. We was in McGuire again back in '08, and they do these. They call them locals. They just go up and get their hours, fly around, come back and land. Sometimes they'll
Yeah.
do some refuel and that kind of stuff. Well, they always get the meals, and my job at McGuire was to bring the meals from the flight kitchen to the bait to the up the ladder and the thing. And this guy had a salad, and he didn't get the ranch dressing. And he's like, this guy threw a fit. He called to the kitchen. We had to delay the flight by 30 minutes. I had to go clear to the kitchen, just get one packet of ranch and bring it all the way up to the guy. And I was like, you cocky son of a bitch. What's wrong with you, bro? Over some ranch. Like, it was a 3-hour local. He was going to land it a little bit and get it. My goodness. You don't have any ranch up in the cockpit? What's going on here?
Yeah, I thought you kept that on flash right there, just right next to you. Just pull some out and you're good to go. No, I mean, pilots, arrogance, but of course, I feel like you got to have a little bit of that, within you to be great at it. But that's the thing that I think about when it comes to the athletes, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a arrogance or verging on confidence that you need to have, but can you still treat people correctly? Like, that's always been my thing of like, so you asked me kind of what type of a guy I was when I was playing, even in high school. I was just back at San Diego State not too long ago, and one of the assistant coaches was still there, and he looked at me and he's like, "Oh, Massey, good to see you." I'm like, "Hey, good to see you too, man. It's been some time." And he was just like, "Dude, this is the nicest guy you'll ever meet, but he will kill you if you get out there on the field." Like, and I say, like, if my grandma's in the box and it's a time where I got to hit somebody, I'm hitting my grandma. Like, I'm not thinking twice about it. If that's the part of the game that
Right.
needs to be done in that point in time, that's what it is. So when it's time to compete, we compete. And when we're outside of competition, it's like, hey, what's happening? What's going on? Now, I'm not trying to be dirty and anything like that while I'm competing. I'm going by the rules and doing the right thing. But I'm trying to beat you. Like, even now when I'm playing my kids in games, if they beat me, they beat me. There has never been a point in time where I go, oh, let me go easy on you to give you a chance. Now, they'll try and get me to, but it's like, no, you're going to earn this so that when you beat me, you can say, I beat dad. And if you don't, then you won't. And dad might give you a little hard time about it. And that's been it. That's what, so originally I was going to go to Notre Dame instead of Bethel College. Bethel College is a small Christian school up in northern Indiana, or Bethel University now is what it's called. But I was going to go to Notre Dame, had everything kind of like, I just need to meet the coach, sign the scholarship, and I'm going to be in there. And I stayed with my cousin who was at Bethel. Now, Bethel's a Christian school where you got to sign, a sheet that says you won't drink, you won't watch rated R movies and all this type of stuff, all those things. And so I'm hanging out with my cousin and we go out to eat, and my aunt and uncle had been there, and I get some food poisoning because I ate, my steak, somebody else's steak, some chicken and somebody else's chicken, just eating everything out the wazoo that I could. Growing boy at that time, still Joey. And so I start middle of the night throwing up just like crazy. And I'm over the toilet throwing up. I tell my cousin, I was like, hey man, I'm supposed to meet Notre Dame today, but can you call this number and tell them that we'll have to reschedule for maybe the next day or the next day? And he calls him up, and I'm throwing up, and I hear nothing back from Notre Dame. My mom told me to stay up there for a little bit longer, just in case. And so I stayed for a few extra days, nothing. I come home, Week and a half later, I get a phone call from one of the assistant coaches, and he was just like all sarcastic with me already. Hey, we were just wondering why you couldn't call us. Like, what? Well, I couldn't call you. Like, I was over the toilet throwing up, man. That's why I had my cousin call. Well, our coach was really excited. He was going to be there to meet you. And I'm like, yeah, well, I was excited too. And he goes, I just had to tell you, like, your numbers weren't good enough, like school-wise. I'm like, my number, dude, you came to me past the admissions deadline, said that even if my numbers were amazing, that you were going to have to get me in. So don't give me this, that like my numbers aren't good enough. And he's like, well, we just didn't think you wanted to come. I said, I told every other school that I was coming to Notre Dame, and this is what you guys are going to do. And then this fool, as arrogant as he can be, looks at me and he's just like, hey, man, if you need anything in the future, just let us know. I said, if I need something in the future, you are going to be the last person that I talk to. And so sure enough, dude at Bethel College, because I got some connections there, was like, man, I feel this is what he told me. He's a family friend. He took over for my dad in Jamaica when my dad left. And he's a professor at Bethel. And he looked at me and he said, hey, God's telling me you need to be here. I'm like, brother Tim, you can't tell me God wants me to, like, I respect you more than anybody. Like, you're going to tell me God needs, okay. And so he took me to the coach. We talked a little bit, got a decent scholarship. And that's how I was like, you know what? I'll just go to Bethel. Fine. And I'm like, if you throw hard, they'll find you. And we just had a guy a couple years, year before, Eric Stoltz, who got drafted by the Dodgers. He ended up playing in the big leagues. So at one point in time, we had two big leaguers out of Bethel, at the same time. But then I went to the Cape Cod League, had a really fun time out there, pitched really well too. Met a dude out at San Diego State, Bruce Billings. He was like, hey, man, you want to come out to San Diego and pitch with me? And I was like, sure. I didn't even know anything about it. And then he's like, I'm like, well, who's your coach? And he's like, oh, Tony Gwynn. I was like, oh, Tony Gwynn. That sounds
Tony Gwynn right there. You got him on the wall.
Yeah. I was like, Tony Gwynn. I was like, that sounds great. I'll come play and do that. And so I went to San Diego State. They asked me, like, you want to come visit? I was like, nah, I'll just come out. My thing was, if I get hurt or something's crazy, I got my guy Bruce, and he was super fun to be around. And everyone else that I met at San Diego State was good too. So I go out there, pitch all right, and then get drafted by the Red Sox. So it was a journey, man.
Did you have any idea Boston was going to draft you? If not, how did you find out? And did they call you, text you? How'd that work?
There was a few teams I thought were going to do it, and then crazy enough, on the draft day, I get a phone call. So I got a couple buddies at the house. It's like one of the first years they're doing it on the internet, so it's a little bit behind. Mm-hmm. And so I get a phone call, and they say, hey, if we take you with the next pick, will you sign? And I was like, absolutely. And so I hang up. My buddies are like, who'd you just say you're going to sign with? I go, I don't know. They didn't say. I had no clue. And then they call me back again. And this time it pops up because it's like an unknown number. This time it pops up like Boston area code. And I was like, oh, it's the Boston Red Sox. And then they was like, hey, we're going to take you with the next pick, 71st. I think it was the 71st pick in the 2006 draft. And I didn't really know what or when or who was going. I was just waiting for it to come along.
Was there like a mystique about Fenway? I mean, when you first go into Fenway, is it? I've never been to Fenway myself. It's one of the parks I haven't been to. Isn't it like doubly amped, considered like a couple years back they just won the title? Like, what was the vibe when you go into a place like that?
Oh, I think Fenway Park is just really special. Like, it's a really neat vibe. It's kind of why I think people were frustrated when they got new Yankee Stadium and old Yankee Stadium went away. Even though I didn't think it was as cool as Fenway Park, still had that mystique of when you walk in and you get to feel the vibe of like all these different people who've been walking through here. For Boston, the clubhouse is still tiny. The dugouts are tiny. And you're like, oh, Babe Ruth was here, countless other guys before you. And super cool, especially if you get to walk into the Monster and you get to see behind. And then now I think the Monster seats even make it better. I mean, they've been in for a long time now, at this point in time, but just make it really cool. Now, for big fellas like us to sit in those seats, it ain't easy because they're still made for like the little dudes back in the day. But it just had a feel and a vibe with the paint, and you just see the old paint that's been painted over paint. and just the tiny things of it. It's just, I don't know, something special. Even though it's not always the most pitcher friendly park. Sometimes it saves you from a home run, but then sometimes it turns a pop up into a double when you get it to the Green Monster. But I think that's probably my favorite park, when it comes down to it. So I was thankful to kind of start my career there too.
Now, do you guys? I mean, you guys obviously got to practice some of the caroms off of the monster and just the different quirks and all that. Do when different teams when they come in there? Do they spend a lot of time with that too, or they just kind of just play it by ear? How does that kind of Because I mean, obviously for those who don't know what we're talking about, Fenway Park has the Green Monster and left is a huge 40-foot wall that it goes out to 420 foot in the center and then cuts in, and then Pesky's pole is like 300 some feet in right field. So it's a really crazy configuration.
Oh yeah. You'll see if they'd never been there, or newer left fielder or center fielder type of thing, you'll see them doing some pre-work, just hitting some fungos off the wall just to get that feel of what it's like, how much it's going to bounce off, will it bounce off, trajectories and those type of things. So yeah, people are always trying to work that, because I mean, the ones who do it really good, man, that's a difference maker. Like, to be able to play that wall in a really good spot, sometimes keeping a guy to a single or keeping a guy on third instead of allowing him to be able to score from second, is pretty impressive when it comes down to it. So that's a big thing when it comes to Fenway.
They used to talk about Pedroia and them guys. Did Pedroia, was Nomar there when you were there? Did those guys, were they pretty big party crew? Give me some fun Pedroia and Nomar stories.
Nomar was just a little bit before me,
okay.
but Pedroia was there, and Pedroia is my favorite player of all time. I joke because I got on my my Dr. Smooth Michael Brantley shirt on, and I'd always tell him he's my second favorite player. And it wasn't because I was hating on him. It's just like Dustin Pedroia was a mixture of, dirt ball, play hard, get after it, never back down from anybody, but also one of the nicest, kindest people you'll ever meet when it comes to your team. He's going to fight out on the field to make sure, like, someone's coming at you, he'll protect you in all ways, shapes, or form, with that little 5'7", 8" frame that he had. But just good dude. I mean, shoot, you get on some of the nightlife stuff. I didn't always, go partake in it, because again, some of these dudes are just crazy and will be doing all types of stuff. I'm like, guys, I'm just a rookie here. Like, you guys have been here for forever, because you look at it, man. I was blessed to come out. You got Manny Ramirez, Jacoby Ellsbury coming up. You had JD Drew and right, and you got Mike Lowell at third. You got Kevin Youkilis at first, Dustin Pedroia at second. And, catching, you got Jason Varitek, and you got Alex Cora, Julio Lugo, at shortstop, doing some things there. And then David Ortiz as your designated hitter. And then you got, just countless great starting pitcher, and John Lester, and Tim Wakefield still doing his thing, and Josh Beckett. So just really cool stuff going on. And these guys are just impressive. And they're going back here, and you got Jonathan Papelbon and David Ortiz. They're playing poker in the back of the plane, putting down $20,000 on hands. And I'm like, that's like, still, even in the big leagues at that time, that's almost a sixth of my salary. Like, how do you think I'm going to be jumping in on this, guys? But just, I mean, crazy dudes. I mean, those guys were just fun to be around. And I think probably the most impressive is whatever they did when they're going out, getting crazy, or we're hanging out as a team, they performed. And I think that's like the difference. But like, when it came out, like later on, when they had like fried chicken and beer or whatever in the dugout, I'm like, fried chicken and beer in the dugout, man. People have been doing like beer rallies for the longest time, starting pitchers and other dudes, when they get out or something's wrong, it's like going to extra innings, guy will run up, chug a beer, come back, and just to try and, like, that's their way to bring good luck, and do something like that. That's when that came out. I was like, come on, man, somebody's got a beef over there that's going on with those things. But you had a bunch of misfits, because in the Red Sox world, it was very, in the minor leagues, it was very regimented. Keep your hair cut, no facial hair, all those types of things, because they're like, when you get to the big leagues, you can do whatever you want. But when you're in the minor leagues, you're going to learn something, so that when you get to the show, we trust that you have the ability to perform when you need to perform. And the dudes up there were like, hey, man, no offense, do your job, or we'll find somebody else to do it. Like, it's nothing personal. And so you want to come do your job? That's great. If you don't, well, then go on somewhere else.
Sir, Manny Ramirez, man, what a pure swing. His 1999 season is probably the best season I've ever seen from a batter ever. I mean, oh my goodness, what a swing, man. I wish we would have kept him. Him and Tommy were the guys that should have kept, and that ownership just let him go. But it is what it is, man. All right, and speaking of Cleveland, what was your first reaction when you found out you were traded here? And I remember at the time it made me laugh because the Indians had a Victor Martinez bobblehead giveaway scheduled for like August 8th, and they traded for you and a couple other guys, and they still had to give away the bobbleheads because you get traded on August 31st. Like, what when you first heard you were going to Cleveland, did you kind of get some inklings, or what was it? What was going on in your head?
No, man, I had no clue. Like, we thought maybe a couple other guys might be getting traded. I didn't think I was, in the talks or in the midst. I hadn't been pitching like great at that point either. It's kind of a mixture where I've been doing a lot of starting and relieving, so that's a really hard thing to do. And so I hadn't really, established myself again in the scheme of it. So I didn't think. I thought Clay Buchholz was one that was going to be potentially traded, and then sure enough, like right before the deadline, thought I'd really passed. Tito calls me into the office, Terry Francona, the manager of the Red Sox at the time. And the dude with tears in his eyes is just like, hey man, you've been traded to the Cleveland Indians. And I start tearing up too, man, because I was like, I thought I was going to be in Boston for a long time. Like I didn't think anything of it. Loved it, enjoyed it. The city was awesome. The people were great to me. And everyone around there was just really fun and enjoyable. And so I wasn't prepared for that. And they got Mark Shapiro was the president, GM at the time. He got him on the phone, and he gave a little spiel about how excited he was. And I didn't even know it was for Victor Martinez at the time. And I was like, "Whew, it's not very smart by you guys, but okay, I'll come over." But I was thankful in the end. But it was tough because I'd been in the bullpen, and so you build this bond. Like we had really good bond in the bullpen, and so was able to kind of get some jerseys from all those guys. We had Jonathan Papelbon, and who else is in there? There's countless others, but Javi Lopez, who's a lefty sidewinder, Hideki Okajima, who would put his head down when he threw a baseball, and just Craig. Who was it? Craig Hansack, a little Manny Del Carmen, really good bowler. All the names that you don't even care about, but these dudes were impactful to me because we had.
You got these guys like Hideki and a different. Does everybody pretty much learn at least enough English to yap? Or there's some guys who. Because some of these guys come from the Dominican, Japan, and all that. Different languages and all that. Do they just pick up the English real quick, or do some of them have interpreters? How does that work?
Yeah, most Japanese guys have an interpreter, but they know enough. Like if you want to have a conversation, they may not know everything. So they usually understand a lot, but maybe not able to express themselves in the proper way, which is why you still see a lot of guys who will use an interpreter, whether it's for Spanish or for, say, Japanese or something on TV, because all of a sudden they say the word wrong and then everyone makes fun of them and brings it up for forever. So they're like, you know what? They're like, I thought you spoke English. Well, I do, but to save face on the fact that I might mispronounce one word and having everyone, hold that against me for the rest of my life, I'm going to use my translator here. But yeah, we'd have in the bullpen, we'd be having conversations about, we were talking about like what position a lefty could play. Like I was convinced, I think a lefty could catch, of course, first base, pitch, outfield, fine. I think you could get a lefty over there at third base. It'd be some difficulty, but could be there. And even maybe a shortstop, because it'd be easier to turn if you're getting a ball from second base and turn it. The one place I think it'd be really hard to have a lefty is at second base. And the one place that Okajima thought a lefty could play was second base. And so we went on for innings, and I'm like, dude, you're dumb. Like, there's no way a lefty can play second base. And he'd be like, no, you're dumb. And I was like, maybe not those exact words, but those are the conversation of it was. And so that's what you get in the bullpen, man. If you got good people down there that you can appreciate, and it's not just a straight competition where you guys know that each day is a tough battle and you get it. And so you love on each other instead of trying to hate on each other. It just makes it so much more fun. And that's what we always had.
Oh yeah, it's constant ribbing and joking. That's how we do it, man. When you first get to Cleveland, were you already married, or you were your current wife? I'm sure you were already dating by the time you got to Cleveland, right? Where did you guys end up moving or living here?
Yeah, so we were married. Right before I made my major league debut is when we got married. So she
Okay.
picked the right time. We've been dating for a little while. We met at Bethel, my first
Okay.
college, and yeah, we went up. But crazy enough, when I got traded, she was in Boston all alone, and I was in Baltimore when I got traded to Cleveland. So I called her up and said, "Hey, babe, we had a Mini Cooper at the time. It's like you're gonna have to pack up the Mini Cooper and drive it over to Cleveland, and I'm gonna take a drive." And thankfully, one of our best friends, Jen Gutwein, was in town and was able to drive with her. And on that fact, it reminded me. So when I'll get to where you're going, but when I got traded, uh, pack up my stuff, go to the hotel, and then I go get something to eat. I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? My flight's not till like the morning. So I go to like the ESPN Zone, was a restaurant there in Baltimore, and sitting there watching the game because what else am I gonna do? And a random couple pays for my meal. They look at me afterwards and they're like, "Hey man, heard the news, figured it was pretty tough on you, so we just wanted to pay for your meal." I
How
was like,
cool is it?
"Man, that's the nicest thing in the world. I appreciate that, guys." So like, yeah, best of luck in Cleveland. There were some Red Sox fans, so they're pumped up for it. But we lived out in Westlake. We lived by Crocker Park.
Okay.
Um, so my pitching coach in Boston, John Farrell, he's from Cleveland.
I remember
And,
Farrell back when he was in the Tri back in '88. Farrell,
yeah,
he was a banger back then.
yeah. And
Yes, sir.
so they had a house there that they weren't staying in, and he was like, "Hey man, you can stay in my house if you like." And I was like, "Yeah, we'll pay a little bit of something." They're like, "Yeah, cool. Pay a little something. It'll be great." The only weird part is when he'd be in town, they'd come stay at the house too, because we didn't stay at their masters. Like they'd come stay in the house, which is great because he's a good friend of mine. And so that was super kind. We were, close to Crocker Park, able to be there, easy commute in and out. 1 year lived in Avon for a little bit, always on the west side, out there.
That's right, man. I'm in North Olmsted. Westlake's about a couple minutes that way, actually. Where back in when Kyrie Irving was playing for the Cavs, he lived like about 1.2 miles. If you go that way, then that way, then that way, right there on Corningstone Street. Him and J.R. Smith, that house right on the same street, man. It was my daughter at the time, my stepdaughter, she was probably about 18, 19. Her and her friends would constantly roll over, just see what Kyrie was doing and trying to be all slick and shit. Like, come on, man.
Hey, I can appreciate that though. When I was at Bethel, we were down south. I think we were in Lakeland or whatever, and the tribe was still over there, wherever that was in Florida, and we were staying in these like houses as a team, and we heard that down the way was Aaron Boone.
Okay.
And so we were like, well, what does any nice, respecting college student do? Well, we're gonna go see if that's really who he is. So appreciation to your stepdaughter there, where we went down, knocked on the door, and was like, hey, I get his response, but even so, it was like, hey, we're wondering if we'd be able to, say hi to Mr. Boone. And his fool with him was like, he's not here right now. I'm like, dude, I can see him on the couch right there. Like, I just want to shake his hand. Like, that's it. And they're like, no, sorry, man, you got to get out of here. And so, man, the first time I saw Aaron Boone, he was announcing and he came in the clubhouse. I was like, hey, man, will you talk to me now? Now I'm in the big leagues. You wouldn't talk to me when I was just in college because you were too good to come talk to some college kids. I know you had a long day at spring training, but you at least come out and talk to me. But that's that was some fun there. So I appreciate what your stepdaughters were doing. Trying to see what Kyrie was up to. But it's we lived around there. I enjoyed those parts of Cleveland, man. I think in the time that I was there, like when I started to when I finished and kind of got traded to St. Louis, even the city itself was trying to rebuild, get better. It's kind of a dead city at certain times.
If there's not a game going on, Justin, there's nothing to do downtown. I mean, I work downtown. It is what it is. I mean, because even with the people are bitching about the Brown Stadium. I mean, we got to be realistic about it. I mean, they couldn't even handle the tailgate in West Third for the Browns game. They shut it down. So how are you going to tell me that it needs to be in a total different spot? I'm worried about they're probably going to take away the blue collarness of the tailgate at the new spot. But at the end of the day, it's drinking beer in the parking lot, right? We can find a way, right? There's Dollar General close by. We can figure out and just hook it up because I'm not paying $100 or whatever their fee is too. Because I like the weed too, so I'm not going to sit there and be in some NFL approved parking lot and paying $100 to not be able to do what I want to do. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. That's kind of pointless.
All right, so I gotta tell you how I remember you fondly is when I was over in the desert because I was in Iraq in early 2011. So I found this old picture. You're gonna like this, and notice what I'm wearing here. This is when we went to Niagara Falls, right when I got back from the desert. That's a Justin
Yes.
Masterson player shirt right there, number 63. And
Uh,
I haven't changed a bit, as you could tell.
no, you look the same.
That was when I was probably at my least. I was about 200 because I came back. I was about because all we did over there, we were bored as shit, man. All we did was work out. So I lost like a good 50 pounds in Iraq. I was probably about 210 there, probably about 240 now with the beard. But that's so funny. But man, what was I
I
going to say
appreciate
here?
that.
Yes, sir. Yes, but would you say like 2011 is when you really started to pull a lot of things together in your career? I mean, like 2013, which you led the league in shutouts and made the All Star team, was probably your best year. But tell me about being in Cleveland and being the ace for a while, and just how fun was that in general?
Yeah, it was really fun. When I first came to Cleveland, there was a little bit of difficulty because, like you said, I mean, all the guys had gotten traded away, like the dudes who were leading the clubhouse. I mean, you still had Travis Hafner's great people, Shinsu Chu, who was there, and ladies love Grady Sizemore, who is just, I mean, those
Ladies,
are
ladies,
all,
big fuck,
oh
man.
man, those are incredible people, and he is sexy as can be. Um, but they were very quiet leaders. You know, they weren't super loud when it came to it. Man, so you had this clubhouse where the different, like I said in Boston, you do your job, they want you there. If not, we're gonna find somebody else. In Cleveland, it was like, hey, just come get some work in and just do this. So you got dudes like walking around with their chest up. I'm like, who's that guy? And they're like, well, he leads the team in wins. I'm like, well, he's got a 7 ERA. Like, I don't care if he's leading the team in wins. He's getting lucky out there, friend. Like, no offense, but dude's getting lucky. Like, maybe put that chest down a little bit. And so you get there, and it's just a different feel, different vibe. And whether it truly is credit to me or all the other people that came through, yeah, I felt like we adjusted. Like my boy Kluber, who you got back there too,
Sure.
you know, was big on just continuing to push the culture of winning and execution and come up here and we love you, but if you're not going to do it, we got to find somebody to get the job done. Like that's the goal. We're trying to be victorious when we come up here. And so as you see that, then it became kind of cool to be able to be that quote unquote ace, if you will, checking out opening days. Now, my frustration with myself is always just the inconsistency, you know, that I'd have. It'd be great for, you know, 3 or 4, and then a couple where you're like, huh, has this guy ever pitched before? And then you'd have some goodness for another 3 or 4, and then you're like, oh, there he is again. Not sure what he did. Maybe he played cards before he went out there and pitched. But it was so much fun. I'd say this: when you play in Cleveland, there were not always a whole lot of people who showed up in the stands. But when you walked around Cleveland, you knew that the majority of the city was at least watching on TV.
Oh yeah.
Would somebody be saying something or would know about something or see it and do it? And so I'm like, dude, even if you don't show up, it's cool because I know you're watching. And that's what was really cool about it when it came down to it. But we had a different vibe and feel with a lot younger guys who were earlier in their career. So now we're all kind of coming up together and pushing and having. So like even though I get hurt, after my, in 2014, I'm a little bit hurt, then I get traded. It was still cool to just see the progression, and Terry Francona helped that out when he come, but just see these guys push to be victorious, to want to have a winning culture rather than just getting reps and just being happy to be in the big leagues. Like, dude, cool, you're in the big leagues, awesome. Yeah, not many people do that, but it's not fun unless you actually compete and do some great things. So let's compete and do some great things. And you just saw that attitude come in, and that's what propelled them to get to the World Series in 2016. And I'm thankful that I was, maybe a part of that. Maybe not. Maybe no one gives me any credit, and that's fine. I don't need the credit, Joey. I was just a guy, playing a guy.
Well, you played a part in the 2013 playoff run, and let me ask you about the beginning of the season. What kind of cereal were you eating right here when you had this kind of start? I mean, you had a couple shutouts going. I think you pitched a shutout that game. What was going on with the beginning of your 2013 season to where it was probably the best baseball you've ever pitched, I would say, right?
Yes, absolutely. We were in a rhythm mechanically. we were eating avocado feta dip before every start the night before. The wife would put that together, some avocado, some tomatoes. You had some red wine vinegar put in there, a little olive oil, some feta cheese, and a little salt and pepper, and cilantro. Oh man, that stuff with some tortilla chips. It's just making me hungry right now.
I know I'm about to go eat after this. We're gonna go to the Saucy Brew Works.
But you get that in there, and it was great. But just I was healthy. I was feeling good, and things were just coming. The sinker was sinking. I wasn't trying to do too much, and I also had changed up a little bit of my style before. Like I prided myself for some reason at throwing like the majority fastballs, and it'd be 2-seam, 4-seam, but it'd be like a high percentage of fastballs, and it was cool. Like when you face who did I face with that? Not Toronto. The Twins. I was facing the Twins, and I threw 107 pitches in the game, and 106 of them were fastballs. And it's like, that's cool. Or it's 104 and 103, whatever. But I'm like, oh, that's cool. But there's times where we mix it up. So I was thinking, like, when I was in the bullpen and was slicing and dicing, I'd be closer to kind of like 50-50 on my off-speed fastball mix. And that's kind of why I started that season. Was like, I'm going to try to be more of a 60-40 guy rather than like an 80-20. And so started mixing in the off speed a little bit more and messing with that. And that turned out to be, pretty good. Because we started that season, crazy enough, I forget this until people remind me, but I faced the back-to-back Cy Young Award winners from the year before.
Yeah, Dickey and what's his name?
Was it David Price and then R.A. Dickey?
Yeah.
Back-to-back games. Take that, David Price and R.A. Dickey.
Well, speaking of R.A. Dickey, he was a no knuckleballer. I was going to ask you this, but I ask you now since we're talking about knuckleballs. What's the deal with the knuckleball? It feels like a Jedi cult. Like, have you ever tried to throw a knuckleball? Why can't, is a certain gene that people get, a knuckleball gene? What's the deal with the knuckleball?
Man, you got to have that stiff wrist. My wrists, they're too loosey-goosey, man. I can't stiffen it up enough to do it because you got to have a little bit of that stiffness. Because my throwing partner in Boston was Tim Wakefield. Before he passed away. He is awesome dude to be around, goof guy. But the Red Sox loved it. There's countless guys in that system in the minor leagues. So you'd have a couple of them who were working on the knuckleball, trying to throw it. And then you get R.A. Dickey who's throwing it a little bit harder with his fastball and those things. I don't know, man. It is a hard pitch to catch, hard pitch to throw. And that's why not many people do it. And you got to have somebody who's willing to take a chance on you, because it just does not fit for everybody. But I don't know. Could you ever throw a knuckleball?
I could probably throw a pitch about 55 mile an hour. I was never a pitcher. It's funny though, because I remember my first year really paying. We moved back to Cleveland in '87, and that year, 87, 88. When I was a kid, I was obsessed. I would go down there by myself. My dad would let me take the rapid downtown, and I would go down there when I was 11, 12 years old. Nowadays, to think about that makes me laugh. But that year we signed Phil Negro. He was 48 years old, and I'm 49 now, so he was like a year younger than me. And we had Steve Carlton, because it was the first time any team had 300 winners on the team at the same. Them 80s Indians were bad, Justin. They were so bad. That old stadium. Man. We're talking about Fenway. I mean, look a little bit fondly on the old Cleveland Stadium, but that place was a dump, man. I God bless it, but the sight lines were shit for baseball. They were shit for football, honestly, and you'd have entire sections. You could go up in the upper deck and smoke weed if you wanted. It was just my goodness gracious. It was what a thing. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder what they're going to do with all that downtown. Hopefully they don't put more luxury apartments up. Nobody can afford. I'm done with about that. Right across from work there on 9th and Lakeside, they put in this big building, $1,700 a month for a 1-bedroom in Cleveland. Hey, good luck. All right, now on to the All-Star game itself. Now, this was in New York. What sort of things that you were doing that you may never did, or just in general, describe the pomp and the extravagance of the All-Star game itself?
Yeah, they just do it really good. I was able to have my wife and my kids there. So they do a parade, and you get to be on the back of a truck and your name's on the front, because half the people probably don't even know who you are, but you're coming through, your name's there, so that they be like, oh yeah, woohoo, good job, man. And so you get up there and you get to wave and stuff. But even before that, you get the home run derby and that stuff. Like just sitting on the sidelines, what I remember is like Clay Buchholz's daughter and my daughter just running around with each other, on the side, well, some of the best hitters in the game are just crushing balls, out. Is that Citi Field in New York, which is just, I mean, it's a cool place. Like New York for me is a great place to visit. I wouldn't want to live there, but
Same. Love visiting there, but yeah, I'm not gonna pay. We're talking about the $1,700 a month apartments and bitches are $5,000 a month in New York, right?
Exactly. But you do all that, and then you're in there, and I think the coolest part. Now, I didn't get to pitch in the game because the year before they had gone into extra innings and ran out of pitching, so they had to call the game. And so Jim Leland looked at me and was like, "Hey, man, would you be willing to be the extra guy just in case?" I was like, "Cool, man. Like, I'm just happy to be here. Sounds good." And so the coolest part was Mariano Rivera's final All-Star game. So his final season, final All-Star game. So he comes and pitches in the 8th inning. And if you see it right, you got these bright neon cleats from Adidas on. And I go and I open the gate for Mariano, and I'm just standing there clapping with my bright neon cleats as he's going through. And that's kind of my like claim to fame when it comes to the All-Star game. That's about all I did when it came down to it. But they take your wife and they dress them all up, do some makeup and give them manicures and all that type of stuff and everything, and just really do it up really nice and make it a really fun experience for everybody to kind of go through. Now, you don't get any rest, so it's not any break in that All-Star break time, but it's a neat experience. And I was there. Jason Kipnis was there also.
Love Kipnis, man. We are all Kipnis. I remember the shirt company. It came up because they had LeBron here too, but they came out with a shirt Kipnis that says, "We are all Kipnises." I was going to buy it at one point. That was a badass shirt, man.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And he was. I'd always joke with him. He was my poor man's Dustin Pedroia. It's like he fought hard, didn't always look pretty. Dude had a great swing and just made it work. But just another fun dude to be around. And that's what I love. Like, It's cool if you're great at the game. I want you to be great, but also be good people. And those are the people that I wanted to root for and be around. And that's what I got to see. So he was another one of those.
Yes, sir. Did you keep your jersey from that? And to piggyback on that, do you have a collection? What's your collection like?
I did have that jersey, but then I did something with it, and I'm not totally sure who I gave it to because I probably gave it away. Like I gave away a lot of my jerseys to my people. But my wife was like, "You gonna keep any of those for yourself?" And I was like, "Well, I think I got one. I think I got one from like Memorial Day that I still got." But I'm just, I don't know, I'm a giver, man. Just want to give, hang out. And like personally, yeah, I got one of my own jerseys, and then I got, those bullpen jerseys that I took from Boston. So I got about a handful of those guys. But some of my pride possessions is I do some high school coaching. And so one of my fellow coaches, he's our hitting coach, Danny, he gave me his college jersey. So I got that puppy up over on the side. So
do you get a bunch of just Tops? Do they give you a bunch of baseball cards you still got to sign, or what's the deal there?
No, not anymore, because I quit signing their little contract thing. So I'm like, you guys don't even pay me that much money, so why am I going to keep signing this thing? They give you like $75 in order to do it. Now, if you sign stuff, they give you some more. But crazy enough, before that, my father-in-law, before he passed away in 15, 16 of breast cancer, he put together, I got 2 binderfuls of, which I don't know why they made so many of my cards because I wasn't that good, but I got 2 binderfuls over here of just my cards. And of course, some of them are like, red, yellow, green, blue, purple, of the same picture, but just countless others. And so it's really cool. And then I also got, not that we're on memorabilia, but I'm just looking around the office here because my wife made me put up my memorabilia in this house. And I got 3 like Lego looking characters. Those ones I like those. That's pretty cool. I grew up a Lego fan. They're not technically Legos, but it's fun. I got 2 Cleveland and one Boston, which is pretty awesome.
Now, do you guys ever get sick of signing autographs? I mean, me personally, if I see somebody famous, hey, can we get a picture real quick? I'm cordial with them, but like, I mean, I see some of these groups and these guys will send like a dozen cards to Randy Velarde or some guy who played in the '80s. It is. What's the like if somebody asks me for an autograph, like why? Why do you want this? I mean, what's your take? I mean, what's the pushing tipping point? Have you ever gotten any really unusual requests, that kind of thing?
No, man, I still get And I'm no, but I still get. I think I got what probably about 20 pieces of mail over there for this month, and I sent out the ones from February already. I still get probably 40 pieces of mail, and I'll get some. Same dudes will send me some cards, then I'll get some new ones, and some will have one card in it and be for the grandson, and some will have 15 cards in it, and I'll sign them all. But that's the way I was. If you sent me when I played, if you sent it to the field where I worked, I would sign. If you're sending it to the house, it's like, this ain't where I work, so don't send it to my house. And now I don't play anymore, so I'm like, well, this is kind of where I work, so you can send it to my house. I never cared, man, because it's an experience for people. Like, I never wanted to be a guy where I know there's time and place. Like, when you're eating, even if it's just like, hey, just want to say a quick hello and then kind of move on. It's like, oh, that's cool. Hey, man, good to see you. Appreciate it. But honestly, it's like you're in that spot. Like, why wouldn't you want to try another way to impact a life? Like after the games, you'd always have these dudes, and now I think they made it harder for this to happen. They'd always have these dudes wanting autographs, and most of them are maybe selling them or something like that. But there's like a handful, maybe less, of kids that are mixed in, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just sign for everybody so that these kids can get it. I'll go down the line and sign for as many people as I can so that these kids can get it. And that's what I wanted to do, to bring the hope to the little kids. And I would hope that, like, someone want to ask me for an autograph, come on and ask me. Like, I might say no, I might say yes, but usually it's going to be a yes, just like I'd expect somebody else if they've been famous and got around, and I came up and asked them, that they'd be cordial enough to at least speak respectfully on whatever it is, and then I try and respect them within that. But you hear all these stories about old timers who these kids would be waiting for an autograph and they just blow them off and do nothing. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I get it. You play a game, man. I mean, no matter what it is, like, you're not so big. Like, you shouldn't become so big that you can't, sign something for a kid, hang out with a kid. And it doesn't mean you'll get everyone. There are moments and times, there's been times when it's like, hey, I really have to get somewhere, so I can't do this. And that's not just an excuse that everyone else is doing. I didn't just, bring out my phone to act like I'm talking to somebody, so I'm really on the phone, I promise. It's my mom, but I love it. And then I forget, and then it makes somebody's day. And then other people are like, oh, are you, like, I'll substitute teach. And these kids will be like, I'll be like in elementary school or 5th and 6th grade. And they're like, Mr. Masterson, are you famous? I'm like, well, do you know who I am? They're like, well, no. Well, then I must not be famous. But I heard, so-and-so was saying, well, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. Like, here we are together. And so it's super fun when I'm hanging out with them little rascals.
That's great, man. All right, now Terry Francona seemed to like follow you a little bit in your career, and I would argue that he's the best manager in Cleveland history, maybe MLB history. Who knows when it's all said and done? Now, describe what makes his style so timeless, and how much we can assume he was just a pleasure to play for.
His style, and I know as it goes on, sorry, I just saw that little quote come in. Joe, can you write your name on a check for me?
That's my friend Marie. We're going to open today. We're going to party out, man. I love it. We was just at a charity walk thing for St. Malachi over the weekend. It was pretty fun. I petted so many dogs. Man, we go to the bar afterwards. I smelled like a pack of dogs. It was great.
That's awesome. Now, what was your question again? I saw it got sidetracked.
Geez, what was it? Oh, Terry Francona. Describe
right?
Terry Francona. Yeah.
Terry Francona. I'll say this: not there's moments and times where everyone who played for him won't love everything about him, but he did such a great job of trying to put you in a position to have success, and that's kind of what, when I was in the bullpen, he tried and bring you in a spot that was going to be beneficial for you. It wasn't just like, ooh, let me put him in here and see what happens. It's like, no, this ain't right, except for one time, but that's for another. But he loved his players. He loved the game of baseball, knows the game of baseball, but he's always protecting his guys too. One of the things that I liked, whether behind closed doors he said good or bad things to the media, it was always professional. He never threw anybody under the bus. He might give the He probably knows better. I'm guessing he wasn't trying to do that on purpose, rather than just saying like, yeah, this dude's got to get better. That I can't believe he did that. Like countless other managers I've seen, or maybe some I've played for, have done before, but just enjoyable to be around. Because he just has a passion for it. He's just got a care for the guys that are around there. And I think that's where what he gets is keeps a calmness, surrounds himself with great people too. And he's also a manager that I think from early on, like nowadays, guys will not even like hide the fact that they do whatever the GM says. So it seems, well, I got to do this because the numbers in the GM told me to do that. Where I think Francona, had the ability, even with Theo Epstein, who was probably earlier on in this, to listen to what he was saying, kind of implement those things, but take ownership of it and not just be like, well, Theo Epstein said I need to do this. And Theo didn't need the credit either. And so he would just play the game right. He'd treat his players right. He'd try and do the right thing. And so it's just a fun guy to be around. And then he does crazy stuff like riding around on scooters and almost dying and stuff in Cleveland, when he was there.
I remember that. Yeah, he was living downtown, I think, and just rolling around. I got a Vespa too. I back in 2022, I wrecked it. I still haven't got the fucking thing fixed. I need to. That's gonna be it was going to be my goal, but then like money keeps running out, so we'll see. We got vacations we got to take too, though.
Hey, money has a way of doing that, man. It doesn't stay forever.
Right.
But Terry Francona, so when I was with Boston, there was a plane ride where you were able to, like, the dress code for that plane was like nice jeans, collared shirt, and some nice shoes. And so I got on nice jeans, collar shirt, and shoes. And he looks at me and he's like, you gonna wear jeans? I'm like, well, I thought that's what the dress code was. And he's like, yeah, but if I'm noticing you're wearing jeans, I'm guessing they're going to notice you're wearing jeans too. I was like, oh, okay. I went and changed into some nice dress pants and didn't even want to have to deal with that. I said, thank you, Terry, for looking out for me so that the guys didn't tear me apart on me wearing jeans when I shouldn't have.
All right, now somebody like you, I can't imagine, can't like just sit still and not help humanity. This is a long question, so bear with me. So describe some of the charitable stuff that you've done that you're most proud of, and what motivates you on the daily to be a better person and to help people.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff we've done, my wife and I started a foundation, the Fortress Foundation, in 2013, during that year that I was doing well, and with the goal to be a refuge to those in need. And so one of the coolest things was, with the help of Cleveland fans, we did a fundraiser. We're able to raise a couple $100,000 to help feed and clothe and educate some kids in Nairobi, the Mathare Valley, the second largest slum there, about 500,000 people living in a square mile radius. And so we're able to help educate and feed them. And I was able to go there and check it out, make sure it's all hunky-dory. It wasn't just some random scam that's coming out, which I have seen a couple of those when I was in Uganda. And we were checking out some of these places and spaces. One was like an orphanage type thing, but the dude was just in America just trying to raise money, and his orphans were just runaways, just kids who were trying to get away from their family who weren't even good. And so we're in there, and this kid's telling a story, and it's high school, maybe a little bit younger than that, and he's starting to talk, and our translators just like starting to grill him on stuff. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And she just keeps getting after him, and he's trying to respond, but he's like, of course, we're speaking different language, so I don't know what they're saying. And then all of a sudden, she's like, yeah, he just ran away from his home. Like, he's not really an orphan. Like, his parents would like to have him, but he's not here, and they're just hiding all their stuff because they want to make it look like they're more poor than they are here. And she was getting fired up. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you're the one that brought us here. But she was just trying to give us an idea of like the goods and bads of what happens on places, outside of the United States. I'm sure that stuff happens even here in the United States when it comes down to it. But, able to impact some lives there, and, down the Dominican Republic, went there quite a few times with some good buddies and my agent. And again, another thing, trying to impact some of those young lives, feed, educate, and clothe was kind of some of it. Nowadays, we do some things where we're just trying to, help the widows. We've had a few people who have lost their husbands in this world, and so we've been trying to be a refuge for them to help them out, because that's not an easy thing to do. It's just
Right.
dealing with something the other day where a guy committed suicide, and it seemed like everything was good. He's a former Air Force guy, and life was good. Been married 14 years, got a couple young kids, and man, just we went over and just sat with her. I didn't even really know her. Like he was kind of affiliated with one organization, but I just like sat with her and with one of my buddies and just listen, hear the story. And because I played the MLB, their boys love baseball. So 11 and 8-year-old, I'm talking to the boys and like, hey guys, I'll come over, we'll play a little catch sometime. I'll maybe bring a card or two. And they're like, at the moment, they're just kind of like, okay, cool. And then I, hear later is like, oh man, they're telling everybody they're hanging out. I was like, oh, great. I'm glad it was good. And such a tough time to be able to just, impact and encourage a life. And again, you never know when you take the time to do that, the impact that it kind of makes. And so, I mean, it's little things like that, man. And it's not like we're trying to toot our own horn. It's just like, how can you go and impact a life in a positive way? Think outside of yourself. Like, even if things haven't been so great for you, like you can still go do something wonderful. Like I call it, kindness is bringing joy into someone else's life. And joy, I define it as knowing that someone is happy to be with you. And so when I walk in the room and my daughter's there this morning before she goes off to high school and she's like, Dad, big smile. It's like, man, it brings me joy because I know someone's happy to be with me. And so when I can bring kindness into somebody else's life, it's like I can let them know that, hey, somebody's happy to be with you. So I want you to feel that joy that's there. And that's really what I'm trying to do, man. Just spread some love and joy. That's why I substitute teach. That's why I do some high school coaching, help out with a few nonprofits throughout the way. I'm not great. I don't do anything great, but other people do. And I just love being around them.
My kids love me when I take them to go get food. This would be a food. Sometimes I feel like I'm just Dad Uber Eats. I'm just going to Taco Bell. I'm going to Mr. Hero. Oh, dude, Mr. Hero. That's something you got to miss about Cleveland, man. Mr. Hero is so good, dude.
Oh, it is so good. You ain't lying.
All right, now I see you're a YouTuber like myself. The channel's pinned. If you guys want to take a look, give him a follow, give him a sub. That's appreciated. Now, is this like a logical extension of what you do? If not, describe your journey in the digital realm and talk about what you do and talk about on the channel.
Yeah, I mean, the channel is me just having some fun with myself. It was a mixture. Actually, a friend of ours was like, Justin, I liked it early on. You're telling more stories, and now you just get kind of deep on those things. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. There is a lot of life deepness. There's some spiritual aspects that come in because faith is a big part of my life. So we usually talk about a little bit of faith on there and some other things, but working through some journeys of how we can gain a little bit of spiritual power in our lives, and sometimes telling stories. My wife, she just wanted me to get guests and have celebrities on there because she just wants famous people around. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not as easy. Like, Joe, you do it great. You get people, you put it out there and you got some freedom to do it. And I'm like, yeah, but not everyone can make it when I need them to make it. And then I don't really like, taking the time to try and find people. And then when someone asks you to be on the show, like Joey, they send you the interviews of some people they've had, and they're like super famous people like Spice One and Tommy Chong. And I'm like, whoa, what does he want me on here for? Like, he's got those guys, But it's just something a little pet project that I love doing. We have a ministry here where it's called Fight Club, and we're not actually like physically fighting each other, but it's a 10-week men's like boot camp. We're just trying to create better husbands, better fathers, better leaders. And so for 10 weeks, you do things. We just started around. We do one in the spring, one in the fall, and so we're just trying to encourage guys to step outside themselves, maybe step into some emotions sometimes, but just be better. Like don't just stick in a rut. Like, you're struggling with someone, talk with somebody. Like, we're here. Like, authenticity is one of the biggest things that comes through it. And so you have a safe place to be able to talk, and you got other guys who come in who've never been told they're a man. They've been abused. They've been, traumatized in many different ways. And so we're just like, dude, it's okay. Like, come on, we're in this together. And you just see some growth. Sometimes some marriages are saved. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes you see guys become better people, and sometimes they don't. But like through that, this this podcast I kind of do kind of mirrors some of those things that are going on there. Like my co-host is a guy I went to college with, and he kind of runs that program. And who knows, it might change, but we also try and do a little bit, tell a story or two about it's all part of it. And so I didn't come up with it, but a catcher I was with in Oklahoma City, my last year of playing, he talked about like, it's all part of it, man. I'm like, what do you mean it's all part of it? He's like, it's all part of it. The fact that you're on a 13-hour bus ride and the bus breaks down twice, it's all part of it. It's just, I imagine in the military, you'd have that all the time. Like the suck happens and you're just like, well, it's all part of it. It's like, it's a reminder that we're not yet there. We're not yet arrived. We haven't made it to the place that we're supposed to be. And so that's kind of become the motto of that journey. And then, I got a couple other random stuff. It doesn't have to do with podcasts, but I'm working on a documentary, and which has been a crazy journey in of itself. And then who knows, maybe writing a book here or there. Just the little things, Joey. I'm sure you're dabbling in the same things, man.
Oh yeah. You got to make your life work for yourself, leave the world a better place than you found it, and just have fun, man. It's too many people I see, Justin. You say just talking to people, just talk with people. Yeah. Everybody thinks that they're suffering in silence and they're the only one going through it. Everybody's feeling the effects of the healthcare crunch. Everybody's feeling the effects of the housing crunch. I mean, we're not immune from this. I mean, if even people who got $500,000 in the bank, they got to pay property taxes they never had to pay before. There's stuff out there. Everybody's suffering. It's just we're all in this together, man. All in this together. You just got to reach out and talk to people and just have fun with it, man, and just chill.
It makes it easier when I'm like, say I'm going through the grocery line and the cashier lady's just, acting kind of like a jerk and just running me along. And I could get ticked off real easy, or I could be like, man, I bet she's struggling. I bet something's going on in her life. So what am I doing instead of just getting ticked off? I'm like, hey, smile at her like, hey, what can I do for you? Maybe how can I pray for you? Or, what's happening? You doing all right? Any way that I can help, get you better. Seems like you're struggling a little bit. We had it one time. This was a little neat thing that I didn't think about, but I talk about it. My wife makes really good cookies, and she doesn't have a cookie business anymore, but she'll still send them out to some people. And so we were going to drop off some trash. We had a trailer full of trash. And so you got to like get it weighed, and then you dump it off, and they weigh you again. That's how much you pay. Well, the lady at the front was just acting a fool, like super passive aggressive and all types of stuff. And I'm trying to do my best to be as nice as I can be. I'm like, hey, lady, I'm just trying to drop off trash. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but I feel like I came in the middle of a story and I'm just taking the brunt end of it. But we go away, didn't say anything poorly to her, just tried to be all right. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's just go get her some of my wife's cookies and bring them back. So we get a 10 of her cookies and put the little card on top. And we just say, hey, just want to brighten your day a little bit. So she gets the 10. And about, 4 or 5 days later, we get an email. And it was the lady's sister. And I think the lady who was in there just found out like her mother had passed away. Oh. And so she was just in a really tough spot at that time. And so she was really thankful, like those cookies really brightened her day, and that someone was actually there to like think about her, rather than, I'm sure everyone just gave her a hard time because she was acting a fool in herself. And so those are the little things, like you said, man, reach out to people and be able to like, dude, everybody's struggling in something. And so if we can tone down our egos that we're the only one doing it, then it allows us to kind of work together and not even just work together, but help each other out.
Yes, sir. It's funny you mentioned cookies, because I make weed cookies and people like them and make them happy too. So it's a small universe, right? All right. We always like to close out with some silly questions, so we're going to have some fun here. When was the last time you used an aluminum bat, and how do you think, if MLB would ever institute them, what would happen to all the existing records?
Oh, man. Last time I really used one, I think was really in college. Other than that, it's been, man, dude, it would wreck everything, because that ball comes off of there like crazy. No, I did it one time in practice. We were messing around in one of my high school practices last few years, and I got on that puppy, and even now they're even more dead than they used to be, and it's just pew, pew. I mean, that puppy just comes off when you do it. Like pitchers are gonna die. Like, you get those big, strong dudes, like they're gonna be like them softball pitchers wearing masks just in case something comes their way, man.
All right, you got to know who Trevor Bauer is, obviously. What is your take on why he can't get another shot in Major League Baseball?
That's a good question, because Trevor Bauer, I like to think when he was in Cleveland with me, we kind of helped, turn his attitudes around. Now, he's still a crazy guy, as we all got to be a little bit, but turned his attitudes around, helped him to be a little bit better teammate than he had been before, brought him into the brotherhood rather than how he just kind of separated himself as like him against the world when he first came in. And I don't know. It's just weird to me because there's something going on that nobody wants that. And I know it's hard to like take a little fireball, but we'd be talking like there'd be dudes who kill people and they're still getting an opportunity.
Right.
What was it? There was a guy, I think he was pitching for the Reds, big old Dominican. And I think he like shot up a gun in the air and ended up bullet came down, killed a guy, and he's still pitching the big leagues. And I'm like, this guy killed a guy and he's in the big leagues. And how is this guy not? We got my guy Roberto Hernandez Heredia, who was actually 3 years older. He'd been lying about his age the whole time, yet here he is. I love him to death, and I'm glad he was still there. But it's just weird to me, Joey. Like I don't get it. I don't understand the difference. Like I know the personality and the things and probably the fear that is there, but man, if he can do what he's been doing, you would think somebody would like that. But then again, he did, kind of disrespect my beloved manager Terry Francona when he came out. The dude just chucks the ball over the outfield fence. Like, who throws a shoe, man? Like that's like it's like what's going on there? So it's as much as I love him, like I get there's a lot of baggage that probably comes with the old T Bauer.
Yes, sir. How are you on a skateboard and how are you on a surfboard? If so, when was the last time you did either?
Never surfboarded. Haven't even tried it yet. Skateboarding, I used to do it quite a bit when I was younger, or at least attempt to. I wouldn't say that I was great at it, but when I was at my mom's last, I got up on there and was it ain't the same. I mean, I snowboarded before, and used to snowboard all the time, which isn't the exact same, but have some flow to that. But yeah, skateboarding nowadays, I'm going to kill myself, so I prefer to not have to do any rehab.
Yeah, I could never be on a skateboard out. All right, what is the favorite airline you have been on, and do you have a least favorite airline?
Oh man, I mean Delta's been good to me. Delta's been nice. It's usually good. Nice people on there. I mean, none of them have enough. I mean, you can try and get extra space, but none of them have enough space for us big fellas.
It sucks as a big guy, right? Any stadium seats, any airline seats, they're built for the guy who's 5'8", $150 or less. I don't. I mean, we might talk about Pedroia. I bet you Pedroia had a great time on the flight because he had plenty of leg room and didn't bump into people. Dude, when I was coming back from London the last time, I went over to London to see the Browns play, and I was coming back. It was a nonstop from Heathrow to Pittsburgh. It was an X0, so that part was fine. I got the leg room. But there was a guy who was like 6'3", 250 on this side, 6'2", 170 pounds. I was like this the whole time I was in the middle. I couldn't move. I didn't get to sleep. I'm done with these airlines. I mean, I say I'm done. I'm still going to travel and talk shit. My God, man, they need to pass the big guy or the American Expansion Act of how big we are, and just because everybody. I mean, it's no secret. If you go to church, look at all the dads, man. All these chicks are mating with all these tall guys. So the next generation is going to be taller. You're going to have guys. The average height's going to be like 6'6". Our grandsons are going to be huge. So where are these people going to sit in these planes? These birds from. I ain't got no time for it.
Ain't gonna make it. It ain't gonna be great. Shoot, I was on a flight I was just in India not too long ago, and I'm on Air India, and so on the way there, we got I don't know 16 hours of flight time. Well, my screen doesn't work, so like entertainment system is nothing there, which I was going on the fact that we're gonna watch a bunch of movies, and then I got this young lady next to me, and I'm trying not to creep her out, but I was like, hey. You mind if I watch yours? Well, because mine's broken. And she was nice enough. She was like, sure. But within that flight also, I got a stinking crying baby the whole time, the entire time. And then on the way back, I'm like, it's got to be better on the way back. Again, another broken seat. Things weren't working. And then I got a dude who throws up right in front of me. Talk about like making the entire plane just smell so bad. And I still had a bunch of hours left to do that. I'm like, I don't think I'm ever flying Air India again.
The only time I ever yacked in a bird was when we was the first night back from the desert. We went to Germany for a couple days, and then we was in Qatar for a couple days, and went to Germany, and then Germany to Baltimore. We spent the night in Baltimore. And this is my first time getting a drink in 5 months, and I just went overboard. I had like a $250 bar tab. It was crazy, but yeah, I yacked on that. plane coming back. I completely ruined the coming home moment for the wife, and I still apologize to this day because I was so hungover. I gave her the I'm back home, and I went home and I just fucking slept all day. I was so exhausted, man. My God, it was horrible. Have you ever been in a Ferrari? What about a Lamborghini? And do you have a favorite car?
I have not been in either of those because I watched David Ortiz get into a Ferrari, is what he had, and that thing sounded like junk, man. I didn't even the muffler. It wasn't the cool, like muscly sound I thought. And then the dude had the roof off. I mean, David Ortiz like 6'4", 6'5", so a little bit shorter than me. Dude couldn't even fit in there if the roof was on. I'm like, why do I want a car that I can't even fit in? No, I got me my favorite car that I'm actually trying to sell, but I've had it for a long time. It's time for somebody else. Is a H1 Hummer. Okay. So I got the last year they made them in 2006. They call them the Alphas. So I'd always wanted one since I was young, and finally went and got one in 2013. And so I got a 2006, black wagon, H1 Hummer. It's just really cool and fun to have, but my wife's like, it's time to sell it. I'm like, okay, it's hard to find somebody who wants to buy it, but we'll see what we can do.
Gotta be somebody out there. Yeah, so if you want to buy a Hummer, Justin Masterson's got one for sale. He'll autograph it for you. He'll put it on. He'll take a picture with you too. He's good out there. All right, in your opinion, who are the 3 most famous people you've ever met in your life?
Who? It's interesting. I've met my opinion. I'd say one's got to be Usain Bolt. Like he's pretty far out there, even though he wasn't as impressed that I was from Jamaica. Right. And then it was pretty cool to meet Carrie Strug.
Okay, gymnast.
She is super duper tiny gymnast. And man, there's a couple others, but even like the Iceman, Chuck Liddell.
Okay.
He came in the clubhouse one time, and he was pretty cool to meet. I mean, there's a couple other. I'll just say like Mark Wahlberg was a neat dude. He came in the clubhouse when we were in Boston. Dude is as short as can be, but he's got shoulders just out, like his back is just broad and big, and just super nice dude. I remember when I saw he didn't realize he was the one who was going to do it, but I was coming up the stairs, and I thought there was a little kid with a backwards hat, on the stairs. And I was about to say, "Excuse me, son," and it turned out it was Kenny Chesney, and I didn't realize he was such a tiny guy when you look at him from the backside.
Nice. What do you got planned for your birthday next week?
Oh man, who knows? Probably just hanging out with the family, going out to eat, trying to find a restaurant that they like also. Man, I've gone to some restaurants that they don't really find anything good to eat, and I find out that I like eating at places that other people like eating at too, and I'll find it out. I'm just hanging out with my people, man. We got high school baseball tryouts start today, and so we'll be locked and loaded with that. I'll probably have some baseball going on that day too, but simple and sweet, man. It's like my life. You might think it's been all about me, but it ain't about me. I'm just here having fun, enjoying people.
Yes, sir. Beatles or Queen? Who would you pick out of those 2 bands?
Man, it'd be Beatles. I grew up listening to them. My sister loved them, so I heard them all the time. So that we can all live in a yellow submarine, baby. Just countless Beatles was just rocking through. We love the oldies. We didn't get a whole lot of Queen, crazy enough. I don't know if what that was going on, except for We Are the Champions.
All right. And we'd like to thank Mr. Justin Masterson for coming out. This has been awesome, man. We're going to have to do this again and connect. And we got the universe puts people together for a reason, Justin, and we'll definitely have some stuff going on, I'm sure, in the future. But what is something you haven't done yet you are sure you're going to do by the time you're 50, and what is your advice for your future self?
I don't even know. Like what I've done most things I want. Probably that I haven't written a book yet. Not that was a whole thing that I wanted to do before, but it's coming now to write a book. Other than that, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing the things, that I want to do. And to the future self is just kind of before, just keep grinding, keep growing, man. Like, just stay the course, find joy every single day, appreciate everything that isn't with life. That's the building block for joy within your life. continue to grow your capacity and maturity. And that's the ability to, still act like your normal self when you're experiencing those big emotions. And so that's what I'm always trying to do, is what I'm trying to teach my kids. Push comes to shove, say, hey, deep breath, work through it. You'll be okay, man. Like,
Yes,
it's all right. It's not all about you.
Yes, sir. All right, Justin. Appreciate it. Be sure to join me Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Gene Snitsky, the wrestler, is going to be on. This is going to be a funny time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. Appreciate it, brother. It's been an honor.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening who was chatting on here. Appreciate you all for being a part of it.
Yes, sir. Talk to you guys later. All right.